I'm your host, Megan Harvey, and I'm really excited to be a part of this journey to help share the stories of women who've paved their own way, whether in the mountains, in business, in the arts, or in their own communities. This podcast was dreamed up by my friend and creative powerhouse, Laura Santo, a Revelstoke-based photographer who's made it her mission to help bring these stories to life. Laura is not only the visionary behind Trailblazers, she's also the producer, the editor, and the director, making it all happen behind the scenes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura. I'm very, very excited to get this podcast off the ground. I'm excited to introduce to you all these women in our little community of Revelstoke who've made a massive difference in our lives. And I really, created this podcast so that more women can be in front of the lens. And what better way than to start a podcast? So thank you so much for listening.
This podcast is our way of honoring their stories, sharing their wisdom, and making space for the next generation of Trailblazers. We're so glad you're here. Let's get into it. This is our very first episode, and we want to give a very warm welcome to Robyn Goldsmith for coming and sitting here with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome. So yeah, we're going to be talking with you today all about your accomplishments, what you've contributed to the community here in Revelstoke and the community of women or female mountain biking in British Columbia. And just love to get to know you a little bit more. So yeah.
I'm excited. I love talking about mountain biking, and Revelstoke's my favorite place in the world. So
sweet.
Stoked.
Mine too. Yeah. You have a very impressive resume, and I would kind of like to be you when I grow up. So I was going through it. You are an outdoor educator and guide. You have been a lawyer. You've worked in sustainable tourism. You're currently the executive director of Arts Revelstoke. You serve on many, many boards in Revelstoke. What haven't you done in the town? You've been busy.
I've been busy. Yeah. I've been around the block. When I apply for jobs, I always have the same line that's like, from my diverse education and employment background, because I've done a lot of things, and I found out what I really like and what I really don't love to do. So nothing wrong with changing your career and bouncing around a little bit.
Yeah, I feel that. For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I think you bring like many different perspectives, a lot of diverse experience to different roles. And you're also a painter.
Yeah, I've always had kind of an interest in art, and then kind of over COVID, we were all figuring out what we wanted to do, like bake sourdough bread or make TikTok dance reels. Or
I got into
whatever.
Like needlepoint.
Yeah, that was one.
My dad was like, "Are you a colonial woman?" And I was like, "No, I'm just really bored."
I think we were all colonial women during COVID.
Yeah.
I started dabbling a little more in painting, which I'd kind of done on and off for a while, and then more recently, I've been a little more gung-ho about it and pursued a little more watercolor and oil painting, and just doing a lot of landscape work because I love where we live, and I love everything that surrounds us. So it's really fun just to have that kind of back pocket hobby to create.
Definitely. Yeah. That's really cool that you'll be out on a hike and you'll sit down and like plein air paint, or?
Yeah, I do a lot of watercolors.
Cool.
Watercolor is such a good portable one. I just take them with me wherever. And try to get little sketches, and then I turn those sketches into either larger watercolors or oil paintings.
Yeah.
The oil is a little newer. I'm still figuring that one out, but I just love how bold it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. You're so creative and outdoorsy and smart and everything.
I love this
wonderful.
podcast already. It's just like I show up and just get complimented. This is great.
It's my job. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to do for you, so that's okay. So Laura, our wonderful producer, director, visionary behind this podcast, she's created some warm-up questions that are really fun.
Fast round.
So the first one, if your bike could talk, what would it complain about the most?
Oh, that is a good question. My bike would probably complain that so I have 2 bikes, and I have my trail bike and my downhill bike. And I think my trail bike would be like a little pissed off that I don't take it to the park. It's like, I want to fly. Like, I want to do these big trails. And my downhill bike is like, hey, I just want a little bit of cardio. So I think they're having like a little bit of a battle.
Okay, they're beefing in the garage, in the shed.
Totally,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. This is a good one. Would you rather ride with flat tires or be stuck in your hardest gear?
Oh. Like, I'm not a fitness queen. So my instinct is to say flat tires, but also that's going to do lasting damage to the bike. So I'm going to say hardest gear. And also I love downhill riding. So yes, that's final answer.
Okay, you're thinking like long-term sustainability over short-term pain.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Okay, if you were forced to do art while riding your bike, what would you do?
Oh, that's kind of fun. Let's see. I think I would.
It's just a smear of colors.
Well, I'm kind of picturing like there are a lot of women. There are a lot of like mountain bikers who are artists, and you see a lot of these folks who have these like twin passions. And I'm thinking like I think it was Michaela Gatto had a cool video where there was all this like illustration that kind of followed the action. So I was kind of getting this idea of like maybe I like have my tires all rolled in paint, and then I'm like painting the trails as I descend, and it's this kind of like illustrated animated video. Anyways, not really sure what that looks like, but now I'm kind of thinking about it. Laura, next project?
Yeah, next project. That'd be really cool. What's the funniest crash you've seen on a bike?
Oh, I got a shout out to my friend Mariev, and I didn't even see this one in person, but I just like think about it a lot. Is she was going down, there's a little jump in the detention center at Boulder Mountain, and she knew that the one thing she shouldn't do is slam her brakes going over the edge. But she like screamed coming into the jump, slammed her brakes, fell over the jump, and then like penguin slid down the landing. And she was fine. But she ended up on Jerry of the Day. So we were all just like very proud.
Okay, so she's a viral star.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
that
she
was
has more
one.
clout than any of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think about that one a lot. Like every time I hit that jump, I laugh.
You're like, this one's for you, Mariev.
Yeah, sorry, Mariev, but it was very funny. I mean, I've had some pretty funny ones myself. Like, honestly, when I'm coaching every class, almost not every single day, but I run like 5-week clinics with every group. At least once I'll do something where they're just like, why are you in the bushes? And I'm like, didn't mean to be here. Sorry.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just trying to be relatable, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I'm like limping out of it. Like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
It's fine. Okay, well, kind of in the same vein, what's the scariest bike ride of your life?
Oh, I mean, I try to keep it not super scary. But there were some times when I feel like when I was starting out biking that I just got in over my head by like not really knowing how hard things could get. And just kind of ending up in places where I had no business doing. So yeah, I remember like a couple rides at Boulder Mountain when I was pretty new to biking where I was just like, I don't even know how this works.
You're like, I'm just holding on for dear life here.
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
So I think I've like figured out how to keep my ability and my like objectives in check. So feeling better about that now. But I think one of the nice things about biking is if you're like, this is above my pay grade, you can just walk. So
true. Yeah. I'm a big fan of walking.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
My first like Bikes, Beers and Babes group ride here in Revelstoke, I shouldn't have even brought my bike. Like I walked the whole thing, and it's nice. You get to see a beautiful trail, whatever. Yeah.
You're still getting out there. You're getting exercise. You're with some cool people. Yeah. And like, that's a really supportive environment to be walking your bike.
Totally. Yeah.
Cool. You have a dog.
Oh, yes. He's the love of my life.
Yes, which, I stalked you heavily before this interview. So he's really cute.
Yes, he knows he's really cute.
Yeah.
And yeah, he milks it.
Yeah. As he should. So what's his favorite trail in Revelstoke to to chase you down?
Oh yeah. So
Or you're chasing him?
Well, these days he's chasing me.
Okay.
He's 11 now.
Oh wow.
And he's just a little guy, so he's not as fast anymore. I think his favorite trails are the Lower McPherson trails, because that's kind of like, we kind of got into those together. We kind of like learned to ride together, because he's a super high energy, like little border collie, Aussie Shepherd cross. So when my partner and I got him, we started mountain biking, and so we've kind of like developed as riders together. So I think he likes those original, easier trails that we were on. It's just like brings him back, you know?
That's so sweet. Yeah. He's like, this is where I grew up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Nostalgia.
Totally.
Yeah. Can dogs have nostalgia?
I don't know, but yeah, he probably could. He's very gifted.
Yeah. He's really cute. He's really smart.
Yeah. Just like, this is his Tinder profile.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more. What's your current go-to trail snack?
I am really big on just like boiled potatoes. It's a bit of a weird one. Yeah.
I did not think you were going to go there. I was thinking, gummy worms, jerky, like.
Yeah. So like, I love a bit of candy. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
But like a boiled potato with a bit of salt in a baggie is like perfect little carb hit, a little salty, fills you up a bit. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, I always have potatoes around.
Yeah. Because they're the best.
I tend to be a little bit go. So if I haven't refilled the snack drawer and I'm like, oh, I don't have any bars or whatever, just boiled potatoes, man.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of the Hobbit song. What is in Lord of the Rings when he's like, potatoes. That's
bash them, boil them, put them in a stew.
Yeah. Eat them on the trail.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna
try it.
Yeah.
It's good.
I will. Yeah. Okay, this is my favorite question. What's the craziest outfit or costume you've ever biked in?
Oh, I've done like a lot of women's races and things, so there's always something going on. A go-to for me is I bought like the day after Halloween, I went to the discount rack at Superstore or something and bought a pizza costume, a beer costume, a burger, and a hot dog. So those are like the go-to. Like they've been in so many races. The beer bottle costume is pretty epic. It's got like a, big, it's a full beer bottle and your little face is in the middle.
Like this?
Yeah. Yeah. So that one's good. It like can cause some problems. Yeah, I wouldn't say I've worn the craziest costumes, but I'm a big fan of just like showing up and riding in gear that makes it look like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I went and did a like reasonably difficult race in Revelstoke, and my friend showed up and she was just wearing cutoffs. I think we were all wearing cutoff jeans and just t-shirts. I had a Dolly Parton t-shirt. We were wearing lipstick. And there were all these just hardcore dudes. And one of them looked at my friend and was like, it looks like it's your first time riding a bike. And then she went and just like absolutely shredded the stage. So yeah, I kind of just, we get a little bit too into the scene and too into like wearing the right clothes. And sometimes it's fun just to be like, I just kind of want to look like I showed up in my cutoffs and here I am.
Yeah.
Big fan of jorts.
Yeah. I like that attitude for sure of like, you know what? I'm having fun, not taking myself too seriously. And yeah, I'm still going to crush it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Last warm-up question. If you could create a custom trail in Revelstoke, what would you name it and what would the trail be like?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of like a good tech trail. So yeah, it would probably be something techy. I had an idea around a name. I like come up with trail names every now and then I just forget them.
Yeah.
And I had a good one that I was going to enlist a bunch of women to build, and we were going to call it like Slady's Night or something.
Nice.
Along those lines. So, workshopping something a little, around she power. Actually, just girl power would be cute, like little Spice Girls throwback.
Like Let's Go Girls.
Yeah, like maybe it's a little on the nose, but either way, I love a hard tech trail, so that's what I'd be trying to build.
Nice. Yeah, and I like the idea of like a really hard tech trail named Girl Power.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Well, whenever you do build that trail, Laura and I will be there.
Great.
Yeah, we'll be digging it.
Can't wait.
Raking it. I don't know. I've never built a trail before, so I'll be there with some, positive vibes.
And guns.
And guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got tickets to the gun show.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So now we'll get into more serious questions. You work a lot with women. You coach mountain biking workshops for women. You run, women's only events. Why do you think having women's specific activities or events are important?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's something I've thought a lot about. I've tried to be really purposeful about like, why are we trying to create community by being exclusive? And I think the reason is that these people feel a little like naturally excluded from these spaces. So it's about creating community by invitation specifically. So saying like, hey, I'm calling you out. You are a woman. This is a space for you, rather than this is a space for anyone and you're welcome to come. It's like, no, this is for you. So come out and participate. So I think that's one aspect of it. There's also the safety and the safe feeling of women being together. And when I say women, I mean like female identifying people. I've never been someone to be exclusive or strict definition of women. Like, I don't care. We get questions all the time, kind of jokey questions from guys being like, oh, if I put on a wig, can I come out and race in the women's race? And I'm like, if you feel like the women's race is the space that you want to be in, then like, sure.
Yeah.
As long as you're not, ruining the intention behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about representing women in a traditionally male dominated space, about creating space for them and an atmosphere where they can develop and thrive as mountain bikers in this case, or, whatever it is.
Yeah. I think that, we've all experienced like social, situations where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can go. But as soon as someone says like, hey, come with me, then you're like, oh, I got a friend there. Or, hey, like I was specifically invited to go and participate. Like that feels so much better than like you putting yourself out there and being like, hey, I'm, one of the only females showing up to this big bike race and kind of feeling a little out of place or.
Totally.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's like I worked in mountain biking events. On a different scale, I worked for the Canadian Enduro Series, and we really didn't see a lot of women in those events, and they were like mixed gender, anyone turn up, but the female participation was really low. Whereas these women's events are selling out, and I think it's an important question for the industry as a whole, is like, why is that, and what are these events bringing that makes women feel included and invited? So I think it's, it's about developing the space, and that's how you get to gender parity is by creating opportunity for a gender in this case that's traditionally been felt excluded for whatever reason.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on this, but so for everyone who doesn't know, Robyn created or helped to create a women's biking enduro here in Revelstoke. So what inspired you to create that first event? You kind of touched on it a little bit. And what was that like? Like, were you just sitting around with some girlfriends and thinking, you know what, like we should really do our own thing here, or where did that come from?
Yeah, so there was like all credit to the first women's enduro that I'm aware of in Canada and possibly elsewhere, was the Hot on Your Heels race in Squamish. So some girlfriends and I had gone out and raced that, and we were like, wow, what a vibe. This is so fun. When I first raced it, I wasn't that strong a biker, but I just had a blast. Rode some trails, walked some trails, met some goals, and it was a really great experience. So my friends, Jen and Dana, all credit to them, who started that race with me. We thought, okay, let's try to bring something like this to Revelstoke. And we had just such positive reception. Like the community was so supportive. We got tons of sponsors. People were really on board. And there were a few people who for sure, like, we got a lot of questions about like guys riding in wigs and why is this necessary? But I think that was really useful for us to understand outside of like, oh, we love this and it's a good vibe. It's like, no, why does this feel important? Because I think we all had a sense that it felt like something we could really create an impact with, but we couldn't really articulate why we wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And yeah, you spoke a little bit about, having men ask, oh, if I show up in a dress or a wig, like, can I ride? But were there any like significant challenges that you faced getting, people on board or getting the event up and running?
Honestly, no. Like, it was
awesome.
breezy.
Yeah.
People were super supportive, and I think it's because we weren't the very first, but I think there was just an inherent understanding of like, this is an important thing for people to experience, and it was popular right away. We sold out in our first year. So I think people got it, and people really understood the mission. And we see, honestly, so much growth in mountain biking and Revelstoke in general, but in women's mountain biking, it's crazy. It looks to me to be like an explosive growth in the number of women on the trails. And so I think people understood the importance of creating and holding that space.
Mm-hmm. They were maybe just waiting for an event like this to participate. Yeah. Yeah. That's so great. What personally got you into mountain biking?
So it was a little bit my dog, who we talked about earlier.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, little Spruce, because he was such an energetic puppy. And I was like, I'm gonna get him out on the trails and he needs to run.
Yeah.
Also, just coming into Revelstoke, it was like the thing where I made my friends. I started going out to the group rides, and the community was so welcoming. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. This is something I could really get behind. I do have to admit, though, I used to be a runner, rock climber. This is like my secret past that people don't know about. And I was like, I'm never going to get into biking. All my friends who are into biking, like, it takes over their lives, and it's so stupid and it's so expensive, and I'll never spend more than $1,000 on a bike. And like, I have to apologize to my friend Kelly in particular, who I was like, let's promise we'll never get into mountain biking. And then she's like, okay, so now this is your life. Yeah, so it was really, it really was the community and camaraderie
that got you hooked into it.
Totally.
Yeah. And is that the best thing about mountain biking for you?
I think that's one of the things I love about it. I'm also very addicted to progression, and I think mountain biking is a sport where you can really just build on your skills constantly. Like, there's always something to work on. And the feeling of like, oh, I couldn't ride that before and now I can ride it is just like, you get really, really hooked on it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I like about coaching too, is when I inspire someone to try something new and they succeed, and then they're like, oh, that felt good. And like, I can see that spark in their eyes, and I'm like, welcome to the cult.
The confidence just like blooming. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. That's so awesome. So yeah, you coach mountain biking with Shred Sisters.
I do. Yeah.
And you've also been a mentor for backcountry skiing with Ascent Mentorships.
Yeah. So I mentored one season. I'm on their board as well.
Nice.
So that was started by a friend of mine, Emily Wright, who knew of a mentorship program in the Sea to Sky, and thought it was really incredible for mentoring women, in ski touring, another sport that can be a little bit exclusive, a little bit intimidating. And so it pairs people one-on-one to get out in the backcountry. So yeah, I've been serving on that board for a while and did one season as a mentor. And yeah, it's another really cool program that helps women access traditionally exclusive outdoor spaces.
Definitely. Yeah. I personally benefited. Like, I was a mentee one year.
Oh, nice.
Shout out Sarah Jones. She was my mentor. But yeah, really learned a lot from that program. And I've also taken a Shred Sisters course.
Have you?
So yeah, unfortunately not coached by you. I can't remember who my coach was, but she was awesome. But as a mentor, as a coach, like, approaching these activities from a teaching perspective, is there something that you've learned from the women that you teach?
Yeah, I think it's interesting just to see everyone has different obstacles. And that's one of the things that coaching, and I think particularly coaching women, not to put us in a box too much, but like, there's a lot of emotion involved, and there's a lot more fear, and just understanding where people are at in terms of like their sources of fear and their sources of like tension and trepidation are all different. And I think that's a really interesting learning process for me, and makes me reflect on what I'm doing is like, okay, why am I approaching this feature and I'm scared of it. And I can think back to like everyone I've coached and think about, okay, like, you know, what was going on in their brain. So that's kind of interesting. Like there's so much, mountain biking is a very like mentally taxing sport. So I've learned a lot about that from the women I coach for sure. And then I think, you know, I coach primarily women who are sort of middle-aged-ish. And I learn a lot about life balance. Like I'm personally someone who doesn't have kids, childless by choice, but just like watching women balance their family needs, their careers, and then find time to like develop in a new sport, I think is so incredible and so inspiring. Like when I see people who are like, oh yeah, I just have my 3-year-old with a babysitter so I can go out and like shred with my friends for a few hours because I get joy out of that. It's just incredible.
Yeah. That's awesome that they know that it's a form of self-care. It makes them feel alive. It gives, you know, it's such a source of meaning in their lives that they're like, I'm going to carve out that time for it. They're present in that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I can be like, a friend of mine accused me of being a perfectionist, which is not a word I would generally ascribe to myself. I think of myself as more of a freestyler, but I do tend to approach things with the idea that like I'm going to pursue them. And I really love seeing people who are like, no, I just am learning to have more fun on my bike. And I'm like, oh, that's so great. Like,
yeah.
Why am I pushing to be able to do this drop or to be able to ride this trail? Is like, who cares? Like,
am I having fun?
Yeah.
Am I enjoying myself?
Yeah. Like I am an almost 40-year-old woman. I'm not going to like be the next downhill race star if I'm not even close by now. So like, what am I pursuing here? And I think it's really useful to just like keep that in check. It's just to be like, am I being ambitious just because that's some sort of ingrained thing in my personality? And maybe, you know, maybe I can be ambitious about having the most fun.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's a way better goal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more fun. Yeah. That kind of segues perfectly into my next question, which is, what do you think is the most important skill aside from technical riding for women's mountain biking? Or for women who are entering the sport, maybe don't know that much about mountain biking what's the skill that they should cultivate?
So I always, like people who have taken courses with me will be familiar with what I call the triangle of success. This is totally made up nonsense, but I say the triangle of success has 3 corners, and one of them is, do you have the skills to ride a feature or a trail that you're scared about? One of the other ones is like, is your head in the right place? Like, you know, you've had a hard day at work, or, you know, you're on your period, and that like compromises your mental state a little bit. And the third is, do I want it for the right reasons? So it's like, did I see my friend ride that and now I feel like I should? Or, you know, am I just feeling pressure because I want to progress? And so I always tell people that I'm like, listen, if I'm coaching you, I know you have the skills. I'm not going to tell you to do something that I don't think you can do. But then you have to keep your mental state and like why you want it in check. And so I think that's when I'm coaching, I do a lot of work on those kinds of things. It's like, okay, let's talk about the skills, but let's also talk about like, why are we afraid of this? And do we have you know, the right things in our toolkit to get over it? But if someone's like, you know, I just like had a stressful day and I don't feel like it, I'm like, right on, let's move on. Like, it's not, it's not worth it. So I think a lot of sports are just really mental. And I think we've all had days, whether it's biking or running or skiing, where you're just like, I'm not feeling it today. And I'm just going to tone it down a notch.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Just here to have fun, be outside, enjoy nature. I think it's really hard to do that in mountain towns are known for being quite competitive places, you know, just the type of person who would move here to pursue, you know, any kind of sport, but mountain biking, skiing, what have you. And you're on the mountain and you're on the trail and you're seeing people do some crazy jumps, or you're seeing someone, send a line, and you're like, oh, all of a sudden you are feeling not so great about yourself, but you're there too, you know, like you're also on the mountain, you're also on the trail, you're doing it. So
and if you want to feel good about yourself, just like go to a town where they don't do some hard stuff and you'll feel amazing. Like, oh cool, I'm the best person here.
Oh my gosh, go skiing in Europe.
Oh man, my partner and I went skiing in West Virginia. We were on like a big road trip.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever genuinely felt like I was the best skier on the mountain. And I was like, hey, we're the best skiers on the mountain. And it was pretty incredible. Shout out to people skiing in West Virginia though. Like,
yeah,
credit to them. It was not easy to get to, and the conditions were not all time, and they were having a blast. So we got to stop being so snobby.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're going to pivot a little bit to talk about some other things that you do. So we kind of chatted a little bit in the intro that you're an artist. And I was wondering like how, when you're on a trail, when you're on the side of a mountain out in nature, like when do you feel like a calling when you're like, oh, I need to make art right now? Or I really need to, take a picture of this because I want to remember it, or like, what's that process like for you?
I really am obsessed with light. I was a photographer sort of like from high school onwards. I'm not Laura Santo level. Shout out to our producer.
Shout out Laura.
But I just like, that was what really interested me in photography, is like capturing different kinds of light. So I think my friends will always hear me be like, oh my God, the light's amazing right now. And they're like, yeah, whatever. What are you doing? No, they're very tolerant. But I love, just getting shots to kind of save for later. And there are definitely things, that I do that I get really excited about translating into paintings. I just did a big trip down the Grand Canyon, and like I did some watercolors while I was down there. And the whole time I was like, oh, I just can't wait to turn this into oil paintings. So I think it's just like light and colors, and it gets me excited. So I love being out on my bike or out on foot or on my skis and having that kind of like back pocket hobby to think about. It's like, oh, this could look cool. Like, is this Snow White or is it actually purple? And what would that look like? It's fun. It's fun to go out with other people who are interested in art as well and think about it and talk about it.
Yeah. And kind of it makes you, I feel like, more present when you're, looking at, the shadow of a mountain and thinking, my therapist actually, she said to, you have your right brain and your left brain. And one is like very, like this table it's made out of wood. It's like X centimeters by X centimeters, or you can think of it as like, it's a platform that's like more artsy. I don't know if I'm really describing it right.
No, I get you.
And so that's something that I like to do when I'm out, on the skin track or whatever. I'll be like, okay, is the snow like, frozen water, or is it sparkles?
Ooh. Yeah, that's very fun.
Yeah. So
I think it's just like a reframing, and one of the things I really like when I'm painting is that I find it very absorbing. And in this world, like I'm someone who has to really fight the urge to like scroll Instagram, or I think we all are, and some of us are worse than others, and I'm probably on the worse than others end. So I love doing something that I just find really captivating, that I'm just like, I don't think about my phone, I don't think about my email, and I'm just like here and thinking about a scene.
Yeah. That's really wonderful. I like that. So you are the director of arts, Revelstoke, and you're also an advocate for cycling, as we've heard. How do you see the arts and outdoor sports kind of influencing each other?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I feel like there is a lot of crossover. Like a lot of, I was mentioning earlier, but there are a lot of mountain biking women in particular I'm aware of who are artists as well. Skiers as well. You see a lot of this influence, and I think it's the ability to reflect on where you are and what you do, and that getting outdoors. I think as two industries, it's also kind of interesting, and this is maybe more from my hat of previously working in tourism, but it's something I've been grappling with. Like arts and culture and recreation are valuable industries in BC. And I know we shouldn't reduce everything to its economic value, but it's like when we're advocating for spaces and for funding to, produce art or create trails, it's a similar case to the government to say this brings value to people in a way that is hard to quantify. So I think there's some overlap there, which is just like bringing joy and value to people's lives in a value proposition that's not necessarily financial, but something that I think is really important to value.
Right. Yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah.
It's something that I'm trying to shape out. The arts director role is new to me, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm kind of trying to find a through line between some of the stuff I've done in my past and like, how do I take this and kind of build it into a career trajectory rather than jumping from island to island kind of trajectory. So yeah, it's something I've been thinking a bit about. But I think that's like where we're at in BC in particular is we have such set values from say timber or mining, and we're just like aware of these extractive industries. Tourism is our biggest industry in BC. It's hard to quantify, but there is clear economic value. And then you think about things that come under it, like recreation and arts and culture. And it's like, how do we develop a case to show the importance of these things? And, you know, in a rural community, for example, like bringing the arts here is expensive and it's hard. So how do we get support and get the people in power on side with understanding the importance of that?
Yeah. And it's important because it helps create or celebrate the sense of place that makes it such an awesome town that people want to visit, that people want to live here. And there's lots of creative people in town.
Totally.
Like you can, I feel like you can't, meet someone at a party without then, knowing that, oh, I'm a musician or I'm an artist or what have you. And they're also epic mountain bikers or skiers or, it's pretty awesome.
I would love to be a place where we're able to more like support people making money through those things or professionalizing their careers as artists. But I'm really impressed already at, Revelstoke supports musicians, and you see people's careers kind of taking off, and artists, and like we have so many amazing potters in town and artisans. So I think we're in a really good place for that, and I just think it's developing. I was talking to a well-known local artist, Rob Buchanan, who's done some amazing stuff in town, and I was talking about wanting to come for Nelson, BC, which is often known as like one of the arts capitals of the Kootenay. If anyone from Nelson is listening, we're not coming for you. It's just like, you've done cool things.
Yeah. We're inspired.
But Rob was like, whatever, we're not coming for Nelson. We're coming for New York. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I really want to approach it with that idea of like, how do we become just like this microcosm of arts development?
Yeah. So as you've kind of mentioned, you've been a bit of a driving force for multiple organizations in the community. And I'm wondering, like, how do you balance the creative side of you versus the more like businesswoman side of you versus the organizer? Like, how do you reconcile all those different parts of you?
I think it's the reason I like being in the nonprofit space is because you're called on to just like do everything. It's like, here's the goal, figure it out. And so you do get to do a little bit of everything. And definitely like with a background as a lawyer, I have strong administrative chops, but I also need to be able to express creativity. And so I think being able to find balance of that in my work is really important. And it's also why I do things like mountain bike coaching on the side, is just to be able to flex different muscles. Because I just find it like really invigorating to sit at a desk all day and be, sorting through policies or booking bands or things that like can be fun, but could also get a bit dry and administrative. Monotonous. And then to go out and just like ride trails with a bunch of gals and have almost like a totally different persona around that. So yeah, I think it's a little bit about finding balance within a career. It's just like making sure that I'm in something that allows me to be independent and creative.
Yeah. And we're so far past, what our parents, what their career paths might have been like, where you work at the same company for 40 years or you, people these days have multiple careers, and I think that adds so much more vibrancy to our communities and, you know, businesses and things like that. Because you're just like my doctor, for example, she used to be a teacher, and I think that's so awesome. So yeah,
I think it's like a characteristic of a small mountain town too. Is it's a desirable place to be, and people may have qualifications that just they're not as able to use here. So they're creative about it and they figure it out. Like I think it's so funny that you'll be talking to someone who works like at your local cafe, and then you'll find out they're an engineer, and you're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh yeah, I also play music on the side, and I'm a raft guide. And it's just really cool that people are able to do all these, balance all these different things. And I know it's not easy to make money here, but to kind of figure it out and to thrive and to put, live a really values-driven life.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. Yeah. And so speaking of the people who live in these towns, the community, what does the role that community support have on like creating a women's specific event or an activity in town that someone might want to put on?
I think these things always take you've got to have a small group of people or one person who are the driving force and who are really ready to take ownership to get the ball rolling. And then once the momentum is there and kind of the tricky logistics have been figured out, it's about, the community passion for the event. And this is the case with the Women's Enduro, right? As 3 of us started it. And then the friends I started it with, they had kids and just got too busy, and we had a couple new gals come in. And then I've taken a step back for the first time this year. And I was actually ready to see that event go if it needed to. I was like, you know what? We've been doing this a while. There are other women's enduros in the province now. There are actually lots. So I was like, you know, maybe it's time. I'm kind of burnt out. But then there was so much passion, and a couple of gals approached me and they're like, no, this has to keep going. Like, can I step up and take it over? And I think that's really cool is to see that like you create something and then it becomes something that the community loves, and then the community is ready to like nurture that and keep it going.
And it's all volunteer?
It is, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a fundraiser for the Cycling Association.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. That's great. Like, you know, we all lead such busy lives, but to create an event that has so much meaning that people are like, no, I have a full-time job, but I, you know, want to meet once a month, twice a month to make sure that this keeps going, I think is really awesome.
Yeah, it's really gratifying. Just that the community was passionate about it, and I've never been like possessive. It's actually so nice that the gals who've taken it on this year have really like hardly asked me any questions, and I'm so grateful for that because I'm like happy to be here, be a resource, but it's nice to not feel like it's my thing that I have to like keep nurturing along, that it's now theirs, and they'll take it in whatever direction they think it should go in. And I think that's really wonderful, is to let things have a life of their own. And I think it's something we have in Revelstoke, is just like a really passionate community of people who have the drive to create the spaces they need. And I think that's like people move here to pursue their passions, and it's really cool to see. You know, now there are multiple group mountain bike rides. There are ski groups. There are pride groups. There's all sorts of stuff happening, and it's people, if they don't see what they want here, they just create it. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah. I find it's easy to get stuck into the if we're in a city, like we could see live music every night, or we could, there would be like we could go to this event or go to this restaurant. But like if you look at how the town is growing, and like we do have live music every night in the summer, and
sure
like
do.
And if you're looking for a group, if it doesn't already exist, like there will be support to create it. It's as simple as like writing on our Facebook group. Yeah,
totally.
Hey, does anyone want to start a hiking club? Meet me here.
And I think like whatever community or thing you want to see, just create it. Like I do see complaints about things that have gone away. you know, from some of the folks who've lived here a long time who have nostalgia about those old events. And I totally respect that and understand it. But it's like, hey, where's the Santa Claus parade? Isn't the city doing something about it? And that's not really the city's job. It's like, if you want to see the Santa Claus parade, awesome. Like, get a group together and let's go. And, you know, I'm someone who's fairly, like, I've done a lot of grant writing, this kind of thing. I'm always happy to support people on that. But if it's your passion, you've got to be the spark for that, for that event. I have basically zero patience for complaining. So if people want to see something, then go out and do it, or you know, just see what else is going on.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's, if you want to see something, go create it.
Exactly.
That's
And if creating things and being a leader isn't your thing, then like strong arm someone else.
Yeah.
Like take them for coffee and talk about your passion and see if you can make it their passion.
Yeah, definitely. That is a strong skill to have.
Yeah. I do like a lot of things if someone buys me a bottle of wine. Just putting it out there.
You heard it here. Yeah. Okay, great. What, speaking of women's specific events, or, you could even talk about this in terms of women's mountain biking at large, but what is a myth that, you've heard or people might talk about that you want to break?
I think we kind of touched on it earlier, but it's like there's a lot of misunderstanding about why these events are important. And I had a friend who said that he thought that it was sexist to create these events for women that do tend to be a little bit easier. Like we don't run the women's enduro at like the highest, hardest level. And first of all, I think before you're going to call something sexist, you should ask a woman what they think. But that's just me. But I think combating sexism is really about creating spaces for equality and equity. And so it's really about, I'm sure we've all seen that image now that's like what equality looks like, what equity looks like.
Oh, with the fence.
With the fence and the boxes. And I think in this case, it's about building a space for participation that kind of like offers a step into the world and a view into the world.
Great. So, the podcast is named Trailblazers. So I was wondering what other trailblazers you look up to, what other, women plus doing awesome things that you're inspired by.
Someone I think would be a great interview for this podcast is the hilarious and fantastic Jessica Gilbert, who is an artist and is a splitboarding guide. And I just think she's managed to create a really cool life for herself. And I think I really admire that. And I think she's a really funny person. So I think you'd have a good time interviewing her. And I just like what she's doing. Shout out Jessa, incredible art. And I think I'm just really impressed with anyone who's creating art and really like centering that in their life, or really centering recreation in their life. I think it's really cool to be able to take that dive because it's risky financially and sometimes personally. So I love to see anyone who's doing that. So all of the women or women identifying folks who are out there who are really creating art and pursuing their passion, I think is really awesome. Yeah.
Anyone who's putting something out there, there's a level of vulnerability, of authenticity that it's so inspiring to me. And I really look up to people who are like, this is who I am and I'm not afraid to show it.
Yeah. I think I'm going to throw in another one too, which is totally left field because I was thinking about recreation and art. But man, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I just like have such a big crush on. I think she's done incredible things with the shows she's created. There's this picture of her at the Emmys, like with a cocktail in one hand and a cigarette in the other, just like lounging in a chair with all her Emmys. And I'm like, what a rad person. Yeah. So she'd be like someone I'd like to meet. I think she seems really interesting. And I just like her general attitude towards life. She seems a little bit irreverent and kind of cool. Kind of devil may care.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like her. I'm going to probably watch Fleabag. You've reminded me that I usually do a yearly rewatch of that show. So yeah, it's so good. Yeah. Awesome. Phoebe, Robyn wants to meet you.
Yeah,
if you're
please.
listening.
Yeah. I'm sure you are.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about what you've done, what you're currently doing with Arts Revelstoke. But I would love to know, your dream vision for the future of women's cycling in Revelstoke.
I think honestly, we're kind of getting there. Every time I go ride Boulder Mountain, which is like our downhill area, I see groups of women. I like see as many women as I see men. And that's just like all that I want to see is people out there having fun, feeling like the sport is for them and not feeling intimidated or like self-conscious about being in those spaces. So that's, what my vision looks like is just seeing equality, seeing that support. And I think we're getting there. And, shout out to Casey Brown, who created the Dark Horse event here, where we see female shredders out there crushing like a huge scary line at the resort. And there's a lot of inspiration in town, and there are a lot of people just out there absolutely having a blast. So it's, we're getting there, and I think it's incredible.
Yeah, truly. That's awesome. And so cool, from you, like having been in Revelstoke now for a while, having created the women's enduro, and seeing that, like, that's, in thanks in no small part to you and the girls or the women that you've created these events with and for, so thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as like an in real life influencer. Like I'm not an influencer, but sometimes I do feel like my suggestions sometimes circulate, and I'm like, okay, for mountain bike brands, like we see the sponsors of the women's enduro, we see people riding their bikes. Like it's a valuable sponsorship. So also shout out Revelstoke companies sponsor the women's enduro. They need your money. And it's really incredible.
And you see return on your sponsorship investment.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. And women like to see that. We're like,
ladies got money. Okay. Yeah. We like to spend.
We got dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're not. Yeah. It's funny when you think of like, what's the most expensive pair of shoes you own? And I'm like, my ski boots, you know, like it's like, or my mountain bike or my,
Totally.
So yeah, we got money and we got to spend it somewhere.
Yeah. And we want to spend it on brands that like support, women's activities. So get out there.
Yeah. And have equipment in more colors than just pink or turquoise. Yes. I love pink.
I do have,
I have a pink helmet. I
have a bright pink bike.
Yeah. I love that. But, it's also good to have some more neutral options for our more earthy ladies.
Yeah. Ladies like variety. Yeah. We're not all the same.
Totally. Okay. Last question. Perfect world. You have unlimited time, resources, energy, all that kind of stuff. What community project or event would you create next?
Okay. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And the idea that I have right now is a podcast festival, actually. So I was like, oh, are there podcast festivals? And it turns out, yes, there are many, but ours is going to be like different and better.
Yeah, of course.
But I think there are like, it's such an interesting thing. I'm a huge consumer of podcasts. I listen like every day when I'm walking my dog. I just always have my headphones on. And I think there's some really incredible storytellers out there, and it's a really interesting form of media. So I would love to do a festival where we have not only bring in like well-known podcast hosts to maybe record some live shows, do that for an audience in Revelstoke because we don't normally get those kind of shows here, but also have workshops and recording studios and talk about the process and have folks like yourselves show people a little bit what it's like to develop your own podcast or, audio storytelling format, whether you call it a podcast or not, I think would be really cool. And we could really animate town around this like alternative media format. So I've got some like target ideas of people we could bring in. So stay tuned for the podcast fest.
Okay. Yeah. That's so awesome. Obviously, I love that idea. I think audio storytelling or the audio format is so accessible. And it's just, you can really get to know whoever is hosting it or be the guest. It's just, I love it so much. Obviously, that's why I'm here. But I think that's so wonderful.
Yeah, you'll be first on the guest list.
Sign me and Laura up.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's it for this episode of Trailblazers. Huge thank you to Robyn Goldsmith. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story, your wisdom, and your perspective on your time in Revelstoke and everything that you've contributed to. Thank you, just on behalf of everyone here, for being such an awesome person and community member.
You're so welcome. It's so fun to be here, and I'm really stoked about what you ladies are doing.
Yeah. Well, you're our first episode, so thank you for helping us with that. And stay tuned for more episodes. We've got a lot of other inspiring women coming up who are shaking things up and paving new paths in Revelstoke and other small mountain towns. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Trailblazers. We did it! Nice. Oh, thank you. I'm sweating so much.